Sunsplash ibi tí ìtọ̀sán oòrùn ti ń tàn lẹ́kìtì ẹ̀fọn aláàyè làwá wà tá ti ń dàbí aró tá ń rọ̀ bí òwe. Sunsplash FM, your lively show.
The time is 12 o'clock. Good afternoon, on the way country news update FM from Alaye. I will bring you beautiful stories and news update sharing our words. I am Adeyege Bamibade. First, the headlines. Woman backs 7 years imprisonment for injuring boyfriend's manhood in Ekiti. Ekiti community insists on Kingmaker's vote for monarch selection. While we tracked and arrested kidnappers' families, says Tinubu. To business news, NNPC deploys over 1,000 new employees. To sport news, Morocco held Algeria to book WAFCON Qatar final sport. To the news beyond Nigeria, 34 workers killed in Pakistan coal mine blast. To the news in detail. A judge of a High Court sitting at Court 9 at Ekiti State, Honorable Justice Onyekonsola Olubuyede, has sentenced a 35-year-old woman, Joy Ikoja, to 7 years imprisonment for causing harm to the manhood of her lover, Ibrahim Usman, following a violent confrontation. Recalled as the Ekiti State Ministry of Justice had arraigned Ikoja on a two-count charge under the criminal law of Ekiti State 2021 bordering on attempted to murder, Section 241, and causing grievous harm, Section 255. Recalled that Ekiti State Ministry of Justice had arraigned Ikoja on two-count charges under the criminal law of Ekiti State. The case under charge number HAD/146/2025 stemmed from an incident on April 12, 2025 at the Hirono area of Ado-Ekiti. According to court records, Ikoja and Ibrahim Usman had been living together as romantic partners in a single room for approximately 3 years, but trouble began when Ikoja accommodated her female friend Amayowa Ayomide, who was facing housing difficulties with Usman's consent. Investigations and testimonies revealed that the living arrangement soon deteriorated into infidelity as Mayowa and Usman allegedly commenced a clandestine sexual affair under the same roof. On the fateful evening of April 12, 2025, around 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, Ikoja returned home to find the door locked from the inside, and upon gaining entry, she allegedly caught Usman and Mayowa in bed together. Still on Ekiti State news. Stakeholders in Aramoko Ekiti in the Ekiti West local government area of Ekiti State have insisted on due process in the ongoing procedure to select the next Alara of Aramoko Kingdom, especially the kingmakers should elect the next occupants of the store. The stakeholders disagreed with the directive by the Deputy Governor Chief Mrs. Monisa Diafuye that if Oracle should be consulted again as the final step for the emergency of a new monarch for the community. Church, the stated, was not in line with applicable legal and customary framework for the selection process. The stakeholders had convened to address issues around the inconclusive selection of the Alara of Aramoko Ekiti. The stakeholders maintained that the community was desirous to have another Alara of Aramoko and invited the state government to help supervise the consequent kingmakers voting process in accordance with the existing laws. In the meantime, candidates of the 14 political parties participating in the August 15th Ocean Governorship Poll yesterday signed a peace accord to indicate their commitment to a peaceful poll. At the event, Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke's second re-election on the platform of the accord signed the document while representatives of the candidates of the All Progressives Congress Bola Oyebamiji and Dr. Najib Salam of the African Democratic Congress signed on their behalf. Amokuton called on all political parties, candidates and supporters to strictly adhere to the letter and spirit of the agreement, expressing concern over reports of violence and threats in parts of the state. The INEC chairman saw the commission has shifted from reactive monitoring to proactive security measures through the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. According to him, intelligence-led security operations would be deployed to polling units and collation centers in collaboration with the police and the armed forces. The Honor of Ife Obadeyeye Ogunwusi commended INEC's independence and appealed to political actors to reject violence. Oyo State. The Oyo State government has constituted a judicial commission to investigate the abduction of students and teachers at SNLA and Yawota communities in Owerri local government area on May 15, 2026. In a statement issued by the Commissioner for Information, Dr. Oyelade, yesterday, made available to our correspondent, he said the commission would be inaugurated today at the Executive Council Chamber, Governor's Office, Ibadan, the state capital. The panel is expected to unravel the circumstances surrounding the abduction and make appropriate recommendations, Oyelade said. The commissioner recalled that Governor Seyi Makinde, during his statewide broadcast following the release of the abducted students and teachers, had promised to establish an independent inquiry into the incident and specifically called on the United Nations to wade in and investigate the kidnapping episode that lasted 56 days. Still on Oyo State news, the Olubadan of Ibadan land, Oba Rashid Ladoja, has lauded President Bola Ahmed Tinubu over his administration's handling of kidnapping in the country, saying the president has made a turning point in the fight against the crime. Ladoja stated this yesterday during a courtesy visit to Tinubu at the presidential villa, Abuja, where he sought sustained federal government support to consolidate security gains in Oyo State following the recent kidnapping of school children and teachers in Owerri local government area of the state. In non-trading video and pictures taken from the villa, the meeting, which centered on the security situation in Oyo State and measures to prevent a resurgence of kidnapping, was held without the Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Akim Owade, in attendance. Ladoja urged the president to sustain military and other security operations in the forest corridor linking Oyo and Niger states, saying continuous surveillance of the reserve was critical to preventing criminal groups from returning. The monarch's commendation comes days after Tinubu disclosed how security agencies secured the release of the abducted peoples and teachers without paying ransom to their captors. Moving to Kogi State. The management of the Kogi State Polytechnic has reportedly suspended some lecturers of the Polytechnic following allegations of sex for marks, courtesy and sale of handouts to students. Arewa Punch investigations revealed that these are as forbidden by the management of the higher institutions, as explained by the spokesperson of the Polytechnic, John Amos Onimisi, who confirmed this in a statement he issued on Sunday in Lokoja. According to Onimisi, 6 lecturers on Wednesday, 22nd of July 2026, were suspended by the management of the institutions for unauthorized sales of handouts and textbooks, while her lecturer was also suspended for alleged sexual harassment. Meanwhile, Onimisi has reaffirmed that the school management is aware of some of these allegations and the disciplinary committee of the Polytechnic is already investigating several of them. promising that the outcome of the investigations will be made available to journalists in due course. Moving to Bauchi State. The Bauchi State Police Command has arrested 4 suspects in connection with 2 separate culpable homicide cases that claimed the lives of 2 persons in different parts of the state. The command spokesman, SP Nafiu Habib, disclosed this in a statement issued on Wednesday, saying 1 suspect had been arrested in connection with the killing of a 25-year-old man, while 3 others were apprehended over the death of a 51-year-old man allegedly attacked on accusations of witchcraft. In the second incident, Habib said Bauchi Police Command received a report on July 21st from residents of the Dandagu area who brought the lifeless body of one Monday Shiroma, 51. The police spokesman assured that efforts were ongoing in collaboration with local security operatives and members of the community to arrest other suspects who remain at large, adding that the case had also been transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department for further investigation and prosecution. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police in the state, Sani Omoluri Aliyu, commended both incidents and urged residents to avoid violence and judicial justice. In the meantime, the National Association of Nigerian Students have condemned the abduction of students of Gateway ICT Polytechnic Sapade, Ogun State, describing the incident as another disturbing sign of worsening insecurity around tertiary institutions. In a statement signed by its president, Akinteye Babatunde, today, the student body called on the federal government, the Ogun State government, and security agencies to ensure the immediate rescue of the abducted students while strengthening security around campuses nationwide. The association said it received a deep sorrow and grave concern the news of the kidnapping of students following an attack on a private hostel along Paraga Road, Ikbara, on Wednesday night. NAS urged the Nigerian Police Force, the Department of State Services, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, the Nigerian Army, and other relevant security agencies to deploy every available resource to secure the safe and unconditional release of the abducted students. Moving on, the Nigerian Army has commenced an investigation into the leakage of a classified Department of State Services intelligence report, warning and planned attacks by suspected Boko Haram insurgents and bandits in parts of Adamawa and Borno states. Findings by our correspondents revealed that senior officers at the 232 Battalion in Yola, Adamawa State, have launched an internal probe to identify the personnel responsible for circulating the confidential security document, which was originally sent by the DSS to alert the military to impending attacks. A security source familiar with the development said the linked document had already been received and registered by the battalion before it found its way into the public domain. The intelligence further indicated that insurgents had already deployed surveillance teams to monitor activities in the affected areas ahead of the planned attacks. In response to the threat, the DSS advised the Nigerian Army to collaborate with forest guides and local hunters to strengthen security in the vulnerable communities and prevent their planned operations. In the meantime, the Accord has petitioned President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Inspector General of Police, Olatuji Diso, and other key stakeholders over what it described as the alleged harassment, intimidation, and arrest of its members and government officials by the police ahead of the August 15th governorship election in Osun State. The party also renewed its demand for the immediate removal of the Osun State Commissioner of Police, Ibrahim Gothan, accusing him of partnership and alleging that his continued tenure could undermine the credibility of the governorship poll. In a statement he issued yesterday, the national chairman of the Accord, Masro Magudo Lamited, that about 100 of its leaders, candidates, members, and supporters had been arrested and detained across the state, and some allegedly transferred to Abuja. Mungbudem condemned what he described as the targeted harassment, intimidation, arrest, and detention of top government officials, party leaders, and members without formal charges. The party urged its supporters to remain peaceful and law-abiding despite what it described as provocation. At the meantime, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu yesterday told a delegation of Oyo State traditional rulers in Abuja that his government refused to negotiate with or pay ransom to the militants who kidnapped school children and teachers in Orire last week. He Saudi auditors remanded both money and the release of jailed members of the gang, demands that were flatly rejected, and described the military-led rescue that failed their victims after 56 days as intelligence-driven and successful without ransom. Tinubu said his recent order to expand the army from 8 to 12 divisions was a direct operational response to the crisis, aimed at shortening response times and giving security forces the numerical and geographical research needed to defeat terrorism and banditry. He also announced plans to retrain and recruit forest guards as frontline security assets and pushed for state police and safeguards against abuse. The president pledged to convene broader consultations with traditional leaders across the country and asked the Oyo delegation to appreciate the armed forces in their communities. Moving to business news. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has deployed over 1,000 young professionals into its workforce after a one-year internship, intensive training, and evaluation program. The Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPC Limited, Bayo Ojulari, disclosed this in a post on its social media handles, describing the exercise as a major milestone for the national oil company. According to Ojulari, the newly deployed employees emerged from a rigorous process that included internships, training, and performance assessment. The NNPC boss added that while offer letters secured entry into the organization, the employees' performance during the internship year and then permanent deployment. The deployment comes as NNPC continues efforts to strengthen its workforce and build capacity across its operations following its transition into a commercially oriented national energy company under the Petroleum Industry Act. NNPC announced its decision to employ new workers in July 2024 under the immediate past GCEO Mel Kyari. To sport news. Sana Miskoudi scored after 84 minutes to give host Morocco a 1-0 victory over Algeria in a tense Women's Africa Cup of Nations group match in Rabat yesterday. After defending softly under consistent pressure in the top of the table clash between North African neighbors, Algeria were punished for leaving the Moroccan winger unmarked. Algeria cleared a corner at the Merlin El Hassan Stadium in the Moroccan capital, but when the ball was returned into the goal match, Miskoudi struck. Before the match winner, Morocco had far more possession, but the well-organized Algerian defense briefly blocked a number of shots to ensure N'Ghazi was seldom seriously threatened. In the final series of group matches on Monday, Morocco faced Senegal and Algeria meet Kenya, with the floodlight matches kicking off simultaneously. To the news beyond Nigeria. A blast at a coal mine killed at least 34 workers in southern Pakistan. The Provisional Disaster Agency said today hardened rescuers were searching for more missing miners. The explosion caused by methanol gas tore through the mine near the capital of the resource-rich province of Balochistan yesterday, sparking a rescue operation that ran into the night. According to information received from the deployed teams, 34 dead bodies have been recovered. Southern Balochistan Provisional Disaster Management Authority said in a statement in the early hours of today. Mining accidents are common in Pakistan, particularly in Balochistan, Pakistan's poorest province and largest by landmass. Balochistan lags behind the rest of the country in almost every index, including education, employment, and economic development. Moving on, the United States Africa Command has raised the alarm over a sharp increase in illegal narcotics trafficking across Africa, saying the volume of illicit drug movement on the continent has grown more than sixfold in the past 2 years. Africa's Director of Logistics, Brigadier General Paul Flequin, disclosed this on Wednesday during a visual media briefing from the 2026 Africa Logistics and Communications Symposium in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Frickshik saw the surge in drug trafficking alongside other transnational crimes underscore the need for stronger cooperation among African countries and their international partners. The general explained that the conference was deliberately designed to combine logistics and care, added that the symposium was intended to strengthen partnerships, encourage the sharing of security challenges, and deploy joint solutions to improve Africa's defense logistics and communication systems. And to wrap up the news for news updates on Sunsplash FM, here are the top stories once again. Woman bags 7 years imprisonment for injuring boyfriend's manhood in Ekiti. Ekiti community insists on Kingmaker's vote for monarch selection. Why retract and arrested kidnappers' family, says Tinubu. To business news, NNPC deploys over 1,000 new employees. To sport news, Morocco held Algeria to book AFCON Culture Final Sport. And